welcome to the show. And to be part of this program, you can actually join us on Facebook and on YouTube. YouTube is Galaxy TV News, and on Facebook is Galaxy Television. So, yes. And also, you can download the Galaxy Television app from Google Play Store or Apple Play Store to watch any Galaxy TV program in your life. So, anyways, I'm not doing this alone as usual. I have my co-host in the house, Patricia. Good morning.
Good morning, Rose Blossom. And I'm super, super excited to be here. Guess what? You didn't say it. I want you to say it. You didn't say it, so I'm going to say it.
I would say, let me do the honor.
Okay.
Congratulations to Patricia, because today is, they call it convocation?
Yes, convocation.
Today is the convocation day for Patricia, so there's lots of rice and drinking. And if you need the address, you can go to our comment section. So, she would host you, not me. She would host you, but congratulations to Patricia.
Thank you.
How was the journey there?
Wow. It was a difficult and exciting one, really. Mm-hmm. It was quite difficult, exciting, because I had to go to school. Just like your primary school students go to school, I wake up, get to class by 7 and close by 6 p.m. For 1 year.
1 full year.
1 year.
I can imagine how it is for an adult.
So you can imagine how excited I am.
Well, it's good. It's amazing. Congratulations once again. And
Thank you.
While we're talking about that, we actually have a live guest today, and she was here last week, not here on via Zoom. She joined, and of course, we had a lot to talk about. So we said, come on, let's go to the studio and let's hear the full gist of how your success story became. So yes, we have Oluchi in the house. Oluchi Jonathan, it's good to have you. Good morning. How you doing? Like I said, that Zoom did not do justice to you. Come physical. It's good to have you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good to have you.
Okay, well, if you do not know who Oluchi is an entrepreneur. She's also a minister. She is a farmer, yes, and of course, a women empowerment coach and definitely a speaker. It's good to have her in the studio. But before we go into what we're talking about today, definitely we're talking about success stories, so we are hearing a whole lot. And I'm sure that will give you the motivation you need for the week, for the year, for your lifetime, however you want it to be for you. So let's quickly go for it. If this time around we're doing something different, we're doing more beauty, how you can beautify yourself. So yeah, we'll be taking tips on beauty standards. So let's quickly take this tip and of course go right back to the studio to continue the program with Patricia, and of course our guest, Oluchi. Stay with us, we're going to be right back.
Tips on beauty standards. When we talk about beauty, we often think of a typical 90 to 60 to 90 body. Long legs, skinny face with big eyes, perfect skin. But do you know what? People have flaws. It's normal. You shouldn't blame yourself for acne, the gap between your teeth, freckles on your face or your shoulders, or any other features that make you special. Self-acceptance is not a destination, but a journey that requires kindness and patience, especially in a world that often encourages comparison. One powerful way to foster self-love is through daily affirmations, which can help reframe negative thoughts and narratives and thereby help build confidence. Here are tips on beauty standards. Number 1, be kind to your mind. Loving the skin you're in takes a combination of self-acceptance, gratitude, and care. Number 2, embrace your uniqueness. Celebrate the features that make you different. Your individuality is what makes you truly beautiful. Be kind to yourself. Speak kindly to and about yourself. Challenge negative thoughts and replace them with self-compassion and understanding. Number 3, practice gratitude for your body. Focus on what your body can do rather than how it looks. Appreciate its strength, resilience, and the experiences it allows you to have. Fill it with nutrient-rich foods that help keep it healthy and functional. Number 5, accept your skin and body changes over time. Understand that aging and changes in your skin and body are a natural part of life. Instead of resisting them, embrace these transitions with grace. Number 6, acknowledge that perfection is an illusion. No one is perfect. Seriously, set yourself free from unrealistic standards and appreciate the beauty of imperfection. Number 7, protect, respect, and thank your skin. Care for your skin by nourishing it with healthy nutrients, hydration, and skincare routines that cater to its natural balance and properties. Number 8, connect with nature. Balance your body and mind with a walk in the woods or a moment by the ocean. Take in the quiet and allow yourself to realize that there is so much more to this world than fitting into a certain beauty standard. And lastly, clean up your feed. Take a closer look at what floods the feed on your social media. How are the posts making you feel? Actively evaluate whether the best decision is to unfollow certain profiles or delete apps as a whole. Or take a break from them and notice how it affects your mood. We promise you aren't missing out on anything. This only makes for a great occasion to view how your own content may affect others. Does your profile reflect your true self?
All right, yes, you're welcome back. You're still watching the Women's Corner, and like I said, we have Oluchi in the house who's going to tell us her success story, and I'm super excited. I can't wait to hear. You know, one of the spectacular things you said about your story last week was the part where you said you were walking and somebody was appreciating your beauty, but deep within yourself, you knew there was something off of you, and you talked about how you went to university, and you know it was difficult for you, like everything you had to go through, it was not smooth. So yeah, I would really like to hear the story now. Maybe everybody will pay more attention. What is your story? How did you become who you are right now?
Thank you once again for having me. Okay, so I mentioned last week, let me begin from how I went to full university.
Okay.
So it was quite nothing peculiar. People go through things every day. So, but for me, really, it was at a point in my life, because I remember Madam Pat asked, was there a point where I felt like giving up, like throwing in the towel? But and I responded, it wasn't like to the point where I want to give up. It was a point in my life where I realized that look, everything seems against me. Like you want to move forward, something just keep pulling you back and ensuring you don't take a step. So at that point, having struggled to gain admission, I got the acceptance letter, and at the point, everybody would go to the board in school at the department, check out this list, that list. Of course, I did the same, but I knew, but for some reason, the department went ahead to register admit students with the pass in literature, which was, think about it. How would you study English
without
with a pass in literature? So that was the lifeline God gave me, so to speak. Because at that point I kept pushing. Bring your this, your birth certificate, every requirement I was providing. And I knew that the pass in literature would get me admitted. However, the school did unaware. So because as at then, a lot of students has gone ahead, the acceptance fee, that fee, into the, and of course, according to many standards in our country, maybe in other countries of the world, you do get refunds for such payments. And the possible entire process on discovering that this will pass, that will pass. They say, oh, something is going on. Wherein these children, were catered on the requirement to this, and long story short, they came up with what they tagged with.
Oh.
Funny enough, I got to school that day and I was like, but prior to the time, I went back for one evening. Like, so this is it. I can't even take any step further. I have to wait another year. I cried. So of course, I went on my knees and prayed. And at the next morning, I go to school. That was what stared me in the face. So for me, at that point in time, I knew that life, wants to push you. Just stand your ground. Stand ground and determine that, two things. My place will say two things. One must happen.
Right.
And let life not happen. You stand your ground. So those steps I took in going ahead, pushing, I didn't know that, by the way, something called the waiver list will show up. It was a point in time I knew that, no matter, irrespective of where you are in life, when you rise up, to take steps towards your goal, towards your dream, towards achieving whatever your mind is set on, God has a way of backing you up, irrespective of who you are. Like I mentioned, I know I mentioned also, the scriptures talking about the grace of God being shown to all men, not Christians, everyone. So irrespective of where you are, you just have to determine, make a choice, So being grateful to God that I stood my ground, that was how I got access to the university. To the glory of God, because the condition was that they give us 2 years, calendar years, to provide a result that is suitable. And to the glory of God, I made it. And at that point in time, I now have an entire result in one sitting.
Nice.
So that was it. Went through the entire year. Of course, it didn't come without struggles. No one literally knew. And like I was telling the story of how someone stopped me on the road. I think I was sharing with a friend that particular story. It was someone who actually gave up on a business. That was at the point I transitioned from the petty trading, I became a store owner and telecom. Yes. So it was, someone who gave up, literally. Something happened, they were robbed a couple of times. So the particular day, we were walking past, I heard the attendants then, hitting the door. We're like, is somebody in there? They say, yes, please help us. We're robbed, and they locked us in. So we put our hands and unbuckled the gate, and the young gained access, freedom. He came out. Long story short, he called this boss. We left. So on another day, we were just walking past because it was in a neighborhood. We saw the person he said, yes, thank you for, coming to the rescue of my staff. And in fact, that he's setting up the place, he's tired, they set up this time, they are robbed. I said, sir, please don't shut down. I will run it. Let me run it, And I don't know, at that point in time was the season of transition. That's how I stepped up from, selling coconut, selling, mega things. And I stepped in, I stepped up. Yes. And long story short, we came up with an agreement. He gave me the key, gave me everything, and walked away.
Oh, wow.
And that was
a visitor.
Oh, wow.
A stranger, sorry.
I never met him before.
Literally having goosebumps right now. Oh my God.
A stranger.
That was the advent of mobile MTN, Econet, and what have you. And that was how I became, a merchant. People come in, sit down, they receive it. Then, mobile phone is not what we have it to be today at everyone's back and call. Then people come into your store, business centers,
to make calls,
wait for international calls, intercellular, and I became a boss. And at that point, I was to go to school. I knew, okay, I had to go for lectures in the morning. I got a sales girl, and that was where my journey began. And every point in time, up until after school, through that business, I was able to stand by my family. I was also telling my friend, it was in that particular season that my family and I became homeless. You know, where we used to live, you know, the house, when I landed him, she wants to renovate the property, what have you. Of course, they show up overnight, expect you, no nothing. And truly, we were thrown out. So it was at the point in time, my family and I literally were on the streets. So my parents would squat, my father then, some of my siblings stayed with his sister. Then my mom, who was sick at the time, you know, we had to take her home. That's why we had a place to call her home. You can't take a sick person to.
Yeah.
And I myself, my business is here. I school in Lasso, and so I stayed within the environment. Long story short, that particular business sustained my family.
Wow.
You know, my friend called me, and before you know it, they are going home. Okay, I count money. Okay, this is for this is for this, and that was how that particular. I knew at that point in time that you can't give up. Don't give up on yourself.
Oluchi, sorry if I may come in.
Yes.
So are you saying that at that point in time, as a young girl going to school, you were also taking care of your parents?
My family. Because at the time I was the only one literally
having something,
So I was.
So you were paying the rent.
I was at then. Okay, there was no rent then. It was from there we started, you know, looking for accommodation. Of course, you need to get up to look for accommodation. You have to start saving for rent, or you must have rent. Because rent money started coming up, and to the point I can remember when we started scouting for a place. I would call my dad. He would come in the morning. I would leave the place with my the agents will have come. We'll sing 2 rooms somewhere, and that's how we hop on the bike and we'll go. And we got a place. I remember the particular place we lived, you know, and by the time we got there, we saw the place. My father said, it's okay, we can manage it for now. And that was how we paid for the place. And that particular night, my father and I slept in that house. You know, empty apartment, 2 bedroom, 2 room, pardon, 2 room and parlor. You know, and we slept there. So remember, my father went out, got newspaper, he laid it on the floor and told me to sleep on the paper there. And my father stayed in one corner of the room. We spent the night in that particular one. So by the next morning, my siblings, everyone, they came around, come and wash, come and do this. That's how we set up that particular family.
Don't give up. Don't give up. That's a true story.
Right now.
Yes.
That's a beautiful story. I don't know how you're even doing it, saying this story without even tearing up. Because if I was the one, I wouldn't even have the words to.
She's strong because
those moments comes. I mean, it's not void. It's not about being strong, really. But even without telling the story, you know, you get to a point in your life where you just flash back and the tears will fall.
Okay.
You know, then it becomes the tears of joy, tears of gratitude that you choose not to push. So you listen. It's for someone out there. You don't give up. Irrespective of how dirty, how deep, neck deep.
Tears about to drop. I'm saying it.
Honestly, you just don't give up.
Trust me, no.
Okay, so moving on. Where are you right now from all these past stories? Because if we decide that you tell us the whole day.
Before we get to where you are right now, which of course we'll get to, I want to know how Farmer came into your profile.
That's where she is right now. That's where she is right now.
It's still part of the transition.
Okay, we would like to hear the transition.
Just keep moving. That's just the truth. Because I know before COVID, I after school, of course, junior came. I applied and I got into junior as one of their team in customer service. And I was with junior about close to 4 years. After junior, I knew at that point, I need to mention this part, that I was not a 9 to 5 person. You know, waking up every morning, you have to, do this and then, be corporate and all of that. It's not cut out to sit down and then you're writing or you're doing something or you was every day I go back home and say again, I need to leave this job. I said, what's wrong with you? So if you leave your job, what will you be doing? I said, I'll be doing my business. I said, you can't be doing what? It was an issue. I kept pushing 1 year, 2 years. It was choking. And it was a shift job. And at the end of the day, I found the excuse out of the place. I resigned. And at that point, I got in with the pharmaceutical. You know. Of course, all through the season were coming and what have you. So I got in with the pharmaceutical. That was before COVID happened. So after COVID, or post-COVID, you know, and one of the days, I need to tell this part, it was my younger sister who I met somewhere where I was, you know, transacting business, and she saw me and said, businesswoman. You know, I was working there, paid employment, but my vehicle was filled with all manner of, you know, all the goods, all things I was, you know, selling. And she just looked at me, this is, you know what? I said, what? He said, you know, if I wake up one morning and I have nothing going for me, my job is no more, my business is no more, do you know that one thing I'll fall back on? I said, what? I said, I'll sell bread. Anything that people eat, I'll sell bread. I said, bread. I don't have patience for that. So they 5 9 10 10 I said, you know, I shoved it out. Lo and behold, post-COVID. You know, during COVID, the only people permitted to move around freely were medical personnel, security, and I happened to fall into the medical section. So I drove around with my ID card. If I had even things that are not related to work, I made sure I have my ID card. When I'm stopped, I flash my ID card, I moved on. So I had reason to go to see one of the community pharmacists, and there was this long queue, you know, food. Anywhere people were able to get anything across the food. People, I understood then. In fact, it's even in the moment of those kind of situations that people thrive. A lot of people during COVID, that a lot of businesses were shut down. A lot of people gave up. People were swimming in money.
Sure.
You know. So I got there and I saw this long queue for bread. So I felt to pay by a few loaves for the house. I got the moment I got into my estate, everybody was like, hey, Jill, I'm interested. Where did you buy bread? Because nobody was going out. I looked at, and instantly, what my younger sister said came back. I said, so what am I trying to say? The opportunity came and I leveraged. Right there and then I called the pharmacy. I said, farm, please, I need like 50 loaves. Can you help me arrange it? I said, okay, let me talk to the bakery guys. Long story short, I supplied my neighbors. And that was how I migrated, or I transitioned
to bread.
So I kept pushing and pushing. And by the time I saw the returns, I was like, okay. So one of the oppositions I encountered was my husband. He didn't find it funny.
This is really the case.
Then he had this Honda Pilot he just got not too long ago. And that was the only available car. And I can't possibly go to bakeries and load bread and put on my
Yeah.
And so I will go out to the car and I will load bread. I go to the supermarket, you know, and I said distribution. My husband said, no, this is
not his car. Obviously.
I cannot sell bread with this car. Long story short, up until when we had this need that I showed up, we needed to move from where we were to a new apartment, which cost us about $1 million. So I was able to save up, and I called him one day. We're like, I'm ready to money rent for me. So I was putting this money together. I said, I don't know how much you have, but I can support us with this. And I gave him 800,000.
Wow, from bread.
And as at then,
no, we need to know, is it from bread?
I gave him money, and then the rent was 900. Maybe agency agreement, everything was like like 1.2 or so. So I brought out 800. I said, I don't know how much you have, but this is what I have. And they were like, okay, okay. And the husband was shocked.
Of course, it has to
So
be.
at that point in time, he was like,
It's supporting the bread thing.
A lot of things he would do that probably where he was delaying. I
step into it.
Fix those things, and gradually he just sorted out. And in fact, he gave up the car entirely.
I said it.
I say, I mentioned I'm in partnership with a man who, if you tell him my success or my breakthrough is in Antarctica or far away in Australia, he will be the one to occasion that he will say
the movement. Yes, okay.
So he's that kind of a person. He really has been in support right from the that was how I transitioned to bread delivery. And today, to the glory, I have 3 staff, like payroll and what's it called, the family.
Fine.
So it's it gets to be.
Sorry, Oluchi, did you get a car or a bus that you use in supplying bread, or you're still using the Honda Pilot
I have a bus now.
from the bread?
Obviously, if she can deliver 800,000.
I have a Koroke bus, and in fact, you would be amazed at how God is ready to stand by anyone, such a one. You can giving up is not an option.
Mhm.
Not a situation as a woman, my gender. Look, I look at them, I look them in the eye. I say you can't give yet. Your husband is late. I mean, with all due respect, I'm not insensitive. He is alive, but it's not a reason
Not
To
a
give
single.
up.
for you to give up and tell stories and say you are going to beg this or beg that. If you need to go to the market, my 12 market, and your fellow gender finish shopping, lift their goods, take it to their vehicle, and begin to gather your cover. One day, as the scripture says, when the cloud is full will rain, it will naturally
Yeah.
drop on
To stop pouring.
So it's a question of your perseverance. Insist on that goal. I said it's only difficult for one who does not have an end or a goal in mind. If you don't, then where the purpose of it is not known, you literally will not achieve anything. Just live each day like
As it comes.
as it comes. So for me, really, it was at the point where one of the I distribute for different brands. I wouldn't want to
Mention it.
mention. I distribute for different brands. So one of the brands I distribute for, I knew in that it was just the beginning of the year. I think last year, I was just at home, observing, in private moments of my private moments, and the call came through. He just said, okay, will I be available for a meeting with their MD, their director? I said, of course. I told him, what's happening? He said, I don't know. They are looking for somebody who will take over the Abulema territory that I suggested you. I said, good. I will be coming. So I finished everything, 4 p.m. I think I scheduled. I told them 5 will not be fine. Okay, I rescheduled and I went in. And lo and behold, the 2 directors were there. And I haven't discussed with them. So I said, well, that is what I'm here for. I said, madam, will you be willing to cover this territory? Because bread sales is territorial. So I said, of course, that's why I'm in business. However, I need a boss. As at then, the fuel price have started going up. People were still buying at 3 or 2 something. And went from 1 something went to about 500. So I said, so this my pilot is no longer, So it's your ability to know when to move. When to move, shift. It's no longer going to work where you are. That is your discernment coming to. I didn't see it coming, like I said. We woke up that morning, but as I speak to you, that particular meeting bettered the core papers.
Wow.
That I didn't have, the 100% funds to that. And I told them that was, however, see the challenge. They say, we can help you put something together. How much do you have? I said, this is what I have. I put it down. Within 48 hours, the vehicle was handed over to me, on a platter. To the glory of God, we kept, at that point, I know I had to, expand. Taking over a bread sales it's not rice and beans. I knew I had to break at that point. I said, okay, get the driver, the marketer, and that was bit by bit. The business became more structured. It's no longer anytime I feel like going up and going. That was how I had staff coming. I mean, I could be at hand. They are working.
The money is coming in.
We're here, okay, have you given this person, go to this, go to that. That alone in itself is progress.
Yes.
Just take a step. That's all that matters. And before you know it. So at that point in time, and the whole economic situation in Nigeria actually led to the transition to farming.
Okay, before you say that, family, let's go for a break. I need to digest this whole
the one that we have heard.
I'm telling you because Lord,
It's a lot.
but let me just ask one question. It's a yes or no before we go on a break. Have you ever thought about owning a bakery?
Yes, in fact, my mentor, had talked about. I said, in fact, Oluchi, if you need to, because he himself is a baker. Okay. If you need, all the details
to get one,
I'm available. However, this and this time. So my husband was my husband who one day I said, Madam, I have so much customer. The list of customers kept increasing like that. Isn't a good time to own your bakery? Knowing like you have to have an end. I know at that point. I know at the point where the boss came, okay, I have to, delegate, put people there so you can keep pursuing this other, essential goals. So I looked at it. Yes, I have thought about it, but the truth is, I have not been led yet to that. I don't think it has gone back. Eventually, not too long ago, it dropped. I knew, okay, maybe setting up. It might eventually now not be, it will eventually end up being for maybe charity purposes.
Okay.
Where a lot of people will be fed eventually.
Okay.
We choose that a lot of people will be fed. Mm-hmm. You can wake up in the morning, get a bakery, and have what bread waiting for you. Where we have people, who sponsor such projects to ensure that people's table supply on daily basis. So when I got that, but at the point in time, everybody was, bringing in the idea. You have so much customer. I said, calm down. We cannot all be.
Yes, true.
So I would not look at it. It would just be worship for me, really. So I wouldn't look at it. Okay, my bakery.
No,
so it wouldn't be So I wouldn't look at it in that light. That okay. So eventually, all of this story is or journey pattern. I sit back and really has in getting your life to align, to the point where you achieve the purpose.
The purpose of it. Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's be
so much to digest.
So much to digest. Okay, we still have Oluchi, and really, I'm enjoying her story. Her journey it's a beautiful one because when listening to it, I'm sure she in the story. It wasn't all so easy as you've heard, but she pulled through. So let's quickly go for a tip, and after this tip, we'll be right back to the studio to continue with Oluchi and of course, my co-host. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
Tips for healthier fingernails. Changes to lifestyle habits and nutrition may help straighten nails. Staying hydrated, taking biotin supplements, and avoiding certain chemicals are just some of the things you can try. 1. Take a biotin supplement. Biotin also known as vitamin H and vitamin B7, is one of the B vitamins. Because it's water soluble, it isn't stored by the body. So you have to ensure that you consume it daily. Biotin can help strengthen hair and nails. It also helps the body's nervous system to function properly. It can also be found in foods like sardines, cooked eggs, legumes. You may also consider taking a B vitamin supplement. 2. Minimize exposure to water. Too much soaking in water can cause your nails to become weak and brittle. Wear gloves when washing dishes and try to keep your hands out of water while taking a bath. Of course, it's impossible to always avoid submerging your hands. This is something to be mindful of. 3. Stay hydrated. Drinking enough water is essential for health, and nail health is no exception. Without adequate moisture, can become brittle and break and peel easily. Drinking enough water helps them to retain moisture and stay strong. 4. Pay attention to your diet. Make sure you are eating a nutrient-dense and varied diet and taking a multivitamin with minerals. It that is deficient in crucial vitamins and minerals can affect your entire body, including your nails. Consider incorporating supplements into your diet that are linked to improving health trusted source, such as zinc, vitamin A, vitamin B12, and iron. 5. Be careful above the products you use. Nail polish and remover. Many nail polishes or treatments contain harsh chemicals that can actually weaken nails. Nail polish remover that contains acetone should be avoided since it can damage nails. Non-toxic nail polishes as well as an acetone-free polish remover. 6. Avoid using gel or acrylic nails if possible. While these are touted as an easy alternative for those who have trouble growing their nails, flint use can cause your nails to peel, which weakens them. But if you had still like to wear them, be sure to give your nails a break in between applications. Exposure to ultraviolet UV light required for gel polish has been identified as a factor for cancer. Exposure also ages the skin that supports a healthy nail. It is recommended to apply sunscreen to such hands after at least 20 minutes before your hands are exposed to UV light. 7. Give your nails a break polish. Along those same lines, although nail polish looks nice, your nails need to breathe. Constant use of polish, even non-toxic polish, can weaken the nail. After wearing nail polish for a week or so, remove the nail polish with an acetone-free polish remover and then let your nails be polish-free for a week. 8. Keep your nails on the shorter side. Long nails are more likely to break and be caught on things, while shorter nails are less likely to be chipped, cracked, or split, helping to keep them strong. 9. Don't use your nails as a tool. Instead, use the pads of your nails to open a soda can or use a paper clip to reach something in a smaller space. Using your nails as tools can lead to breakage and chipping, which can weaken the nails. 10. Use lotion on your nails after removing nail polish, or if you think you are not hydrated enough, moisturize your nails with hand cream. You can do this every time you wash hands. 11. Change how you file nails. Filing your nails in a back and forth motion like a saw can actually weaken your nails. Instead, file them in one direction. Also, go easy on the sides of the nails, since filing too much can weaken the nails.
All right, welcome back. Yes, you're watching Women's Corner. We had to cut that tip, but don't worry, I'll playfully tomorrow, so we can actually see how to take care of our fingernails. Also, we have Oluchi in the house. So yes, let's go back to the farming. How did farming? Did he jump into your profile? What's the process? How's it?
He didn't jump.
Obviously,
He didn't jump.
But he walked in.
it's
You know, it's just still ability of a woman to know when to, leave a particular place or transition or move, onto, something more. And it happened, or it was birthed as a result of the economic situation in the country. I knew, how sustainable is where, how sustainable is it going to be, how much longer, the next 5 years, the next 10 years, are we still going to be there doing, by then every home would have owned, an oven, Just
And
like you
bake their
see
bread
abroad,
themselves, yeah.
really everyone bake their bread
Themselves,
themselves.
true.
So you'll be out of business.
True, true.
So thinking forward, like okay, and of course the situation in the country, I chose to to go into farming, and of course, what kind of farming? Piggery. Of course, I studied, the industry and the markets, the process. And I chose that basically also because I have people in that. So I'm not even struggling. There's no struggle at all because I have people who, I, I don't
I
know
need already.
how to, yes, good relationship that took me by hands and walked me through it. So there's no struggle and everything is just going on smooth. And today the animals are multiplying. And when I look back to how many I started with, like just January this year, and today I have well over 20 animals. And the implication is just mind blowing. That I'm like, what? How
many did you start with? If we could.
With 10 animals as winners, and today they are being crossed. The females out of them are being crossed, and they birth in multiples. One animal can give you even 10. In fact, my mentor and friend, Sister Esther, she has an animal that gave her 16.
Wow.
In that city, I think about animals put to birth, and she had over 60.
Ooh, Blossom, we should think into
So
let's think about it.
And also, of course, farming. I didn't mention my husband coming from Jos, farmland back home. We're also abreast with the whole process. Irish potato, farm this, farm that, just to ensure that you don't keep your hands crossed. But importantly to fit in where it matters, because the economy, in the long run, a lot of things will not matter.
Yeah.
But you see, food, shelter,
never.
and water. So we just decided to have a need for ourselves.
So how much does a pig cost? Do you sell the baby pigs?
If you choose to, yes. After having win them from the mothers, you sell as winners. The ones I started, I think I said I would advance winners, but after winning them, people you might choose to stick with that as your own method of farming. You just breed, win them, and sell off.
Okay, so which is your method? Which one you want to stick with?
And both breeding and fattening. That's what they call fat. You feed them to fat, to hit a particular weight. So maybe minimum 70, 100 kg. So once you achieve your target, you sell off.
So the more weighty they are, the more expensive.
Sell off to who?
So the buyers, of course. So how much does it cost to get a pig? Maybe weighing very heavy.
It depends really, but for winners, as I know right now, as low as 30,000, between 30 and 50,000, you can get yourself, depending on the breed as well. Depending on the breed of animal, just like you have a dog, for instance, has different breed, Alsatian.
Pigs have breeds.
Really, I never knew. Hearing this.
There are breed of pigs that a winner can cost as much as. I was telling someone 3 days ago that it was 250. He says 300 now. 100,000 to get a winner of that particular breed. So it depends on the breed. So but for you to venture into piggery, you must first of all submit to understanding everything involved, because with every business really comes with a level of risk.
Yes.
So that way I chose to do what's called breeding and farming.
Okay.
So that, for me really, because a long time is not something you invest into and then you are cashing out tomorrow. But for me, I know, within a period of this and this, at least within a period of 4 to 6 months, you stay liquid. Right. That way you just keep using, because we're talking about livestock.
Of course.
So, and as long as you're not doing it yet on a grand scale, there are farmers that are massive. I know that their take home or revenue on a monthly basis is in tens of millions.
Wow.
So, but at the scale where we are currently, currently, I chose to do, the breeding and the fattening.
Okay, so where do you keep these
We can
pigs?
ask questions.
Quickly, where do you
already-
keep the
time
pigs?
is up.
There's Centration Okiaru Pig Farm.
Oh,
That's
okay.
currently, yes, where I currently am.
Okay. It's a long story. We're going to bring you back.
Yes,
Sure,
definitely.
for the third time.
Definitely.
So you conclude, this story.
Yes, there are a lot of things she still needs to tell us.
Mhm.
I don't know. I feel so very because I'm money.
You're so interested.
I'm so interested. Well, it's been an amazing ride today with you. Thank you so much. You've actually given me a lot of push, to be honest, to continue in business, and we learned because yes, thank you very much for that one. And of course, I know other women out there too have learned not one. Actually, you should have learned a whole lot. So thank you very much for coming. From all of us at TV and the team, we really do appreciate you. And Oluchi said she's gonna provide us with some bread, like hot. It's Tuesday bread.
And it's raining season, so we're going to
So
be
we're
tea.
gonna have it with our tea tomorrow morning. Everyone, thank you so much for that one. Anyway. Thank you so much.